The Soul's Advice podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land in which this podcast is recorded, the Confederated Tribes of Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siuslaw, and pays respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Hello, welcome to the Soul's Advice podcast, a place where you are seen and heard on a soul level. I'm Kristen Nilsson, and I will be your guide. Through channeled teachings, spiritual wisdom, and practical advice, you'll strengthen your connection to your soul's essence while remembering that you are here not to fulfill a human agenda, but a cosmic one. Thank you so much for being here. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be talking about the Great Halls, or the Halls of Learning, as some call them. So just take a moment and try to visualize a very large-scale Gothic type of room. It has floor-to-ceiling bookcases, marble pillars and columns and floors. It has giant, long tables made out of different crystals and materials that can seat hundreds of people. There's windy staircases and just this feeling of knowledge when you walk into it. That's what the Great Halls are. So some people say they're an etheric retreat space, kind of like the School of Mysteries is located inside of it, and they're dedicated to spiritual knowledge. So when we connect to this place, we're really making an effort to get closer to our soul's essence. And most of the time when I see the Great Halls in sessions with clients or in my own meditations, it's because we're being reminded that we had a plan, a pre-birth plan prior to incarnating. And then we also have a post-transition debrief in this place as well. So when we think about how our souls have created and co-created this plan to come to Earth to experience all of these emotions, to work through our soul's shadows so that we can evolve and grow as a soul, we gather at this big table with our soul family who is with us in some way, shape, or form in most of our incarnations, as well as our welcome home team after we transition. So we're at this table, we're determining, what we want to learn in this life, maybe a lesson or an experience that we didn't allow ourselves to navigate and work through in a previous life. We want to try it again. And so we kind of create this plan and have a framework. Now, obviously, we have free will. So when we come to Earth, we don't always meet our soul's plan in every aspect. We're always being navigated to go back towards it. Our, detours and reroutes are always leading us back to that path, but the actual details of it are up to us. And so when we are at the Halls of Learning, this place also is said to hold the Akashic Records. And if you're familiar with those, it's the blueprint of our soul. So every emotion we've ever felt, every experience, every piece of sadness, every beautiful sense of joy, it is all within our Akashic Records. And there's special Akashic Record readers that can tap into your soul and give you, kind of more information around why things are happening in your life right now based on your soul's plan and experience, which is a really special thing to do. If you haven't, I highly recommend getting a reading with the Akashic Records. But the idea is that in this library, every piece of our soul's history and blueprint sits within it. And so we can easily pull from, that shelf and pull from that book to see, okay, I'm ready to, really learn about what collaboration truly means and not needing to be the center of attention, but being a part of a team. And so a lot of times within my client sessions, this Halls of Learning or Great Halls come up when people are on that loop of being a human. If they're so focused on a certain situation and trying to understand the why and the how, instead of looking at it from a more holistic view of saying, okay, why did my soul choose to learn this? Or is this part of my path based on other experiences that I've had? And so it just helps you and encourages you to get out of that lower mind and into the bigger picture of your soul so that the little things won't bother you as much. Obviously it's a practice, but that's what I found. And what I've tried to help my clients with is, think about your pre-birth plan. If you're telling me that every relationship that you've had has ended with you feeling slighted or, being disrespected, or something that has a pattern of you not standing up for yourself or not standing in your truth and using your voice, chances are that's part of your pre-birth plan. And that's what you're being invited to work on within this life. And so instead of saying, I don't understand, or, men or women or whoever are, the worst, it's more so thinking about like reflecting and looking back to understand what lesson you're really meant to be learning. And lesson doesn't necessarily have to have a negative connotation. It's not a shame on you lesson at all. That's not how spirit works. And that's not how it works in the halls of learning. It's more about being compassionate with yourself, but allowing yourself to really reflect and understand yourself on that deep soul level. Maybe you haven't used your voice in relationships because you were deep down afraid of being alone or rocking the boat. Or as a child, you weren't allowed to say what you wanted to feel without ridicule from your parents or whatever it might be. So everything is connected, right? And so with the great halls and the halls of learning, some of the biggest things that I've learned through what my guides have shared with me and my clients' guides is that we are never alone, ever. Even when we feel at our loneliest and we are not around any other human or animal, we are never alone. Our soul family is always there. We can always tap into their energy, even if we can't hear words or see what their human face looked like. Their energy is always there surrounding you. You decide before incarnations and lifetimes ago, who your soul family is going to be, and they protect you and they help guide you on that path. And so that's one thing. We're never alone. And then secondly, helping to remove the judgment from things. I think the halls of learning has taught me, and tapping into this energy, that when you come back after this incarnation has ended, you're not judged. There is not one person or being that is saying you were bad or good. That is not how it works. It's very much so a judgment-free zone. And it's more about assessing what your plan was. Were you able to meet it? What were areas that you struggled with? What were relationships that maybe put you off course? And it's sort of an assessment so that you can know what you want to take on in the next incarnation. And then lastly, the third biggest thing I've learned is that if we don't work on those lessons and our cosmic plan in this life that we set out to work on, we will have to work on them again. You might have time and, quote unquote time in between now and the next life to come back and try it again. You have a choice still as a soul, but chances are when you do come back, you'll have to deal with the same lessons again until your soul fully learns them and can process and evolve and move forward. So let's think about that in a practical human way. Let's say you have an issue with loving yourself. And no matter what you do, you have poor body image, or you don't think you're good enough, or you're always thinking about the negative side of yourself and those shadows. Well, if you don't work on that, you don't start loving yourself or start the process, you'll be coming back in another life and other people will show you that same mirror that you don't love yourself, that you're unworthy of love. And so it's up to you to get that courage and strength to see that pattern and to work through it. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather face those hard things now and let all of those lower vibrational emotions come up and deal with the pain and heartache that it might cause, so that I can almost free myself from carrying those feelings and not hopefully have to deal with them in my next life. And I can focus on other ways to evolve my soul. It might seem hard at first, but the long game is worth it. And Kyle Gray, who's a great channeler and teacher, he has so many books and oracle decks. He's written the Gateway of Light Activation Oracle, which is one of my favorites. He said that ultimately, this etheric retreat of the Great Halls is an ancient mystery school that's particularly powerful for those who are opening up their psychic and clairvoyant abilities. He says if this gateway comes to you often, it brings confirmation that your psychic gifts are strengthening. Also, if the idea of an ancient mystery school in the astral realm seems familiar, there's a good chance that you've been here during dream time or even between incarnations. These halls are held with the heart of Source and are a projection of the divine mind's infinite intelligence. When we visit them, we are connecting directly with the wisdom of Source. And that's such a beautiful way to put it. We have several ways that we can connect with Source and Spirit, whatever you want to call it, your highest self, your soul, here as a human on earth. And I invite you to, before you go to sleep, maybe invoke the great halls and the halls of learning to come to you in your dreams so that you can remember what some of these pre-birth lessons you decided to come in with, and just see what comes up for you. And always write your dreams down. Please, always. Even if you don't understand them, write them down in a journal. So that's all I have for you today about the Great Halls and the Halls of Learning. I'd love to hear if this resonates with you. Please feel free to reach out to me. My information is in the show notes below. And exciting that we finished episode 2. I'm really loving this journey. So thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take good care.